Hi everyone. So this is a new chapter for Fitbee for myself. This is something that we as a team decided that it's high time I talk about certain things that happen in my life and certain things that I experience, which I love, which I don't love. But most of the times I turn into even the not so loved ones into the loved experiences, because at the end of the day it teaches you a lesson, or it actually is a pleasant thing to reminisce about and share it with your friends and family. I generally go by telling everything to everybody, at least people who are surrounded by me. I have no filter, which I think by now everyone knows. So, whenever I tell these stories, my team thought that I should tell it to a wider audience, and that is why we started this podcast. It is a little funny that I'm talking to myself, but still I'll get used to it. So today, let me talk about one of the things that I always thought was a big plus that worked for me. So let me call it decision making, which is the simplest way of putting it. Even every day, I think every one of us, we make decisions from the moment we wake up. It could be, what breakfast do we eat? Is the trainer coming on time? If he doesn't come, what exercise should I do? And then we can talk about is what time are we dropping my son. So mostly it's about till by the time it's 8 o'clock, I finish all of those decisions, which are probably 10 of them. And you take them without thinking. But if you start thinking, how much time are you going to waste? It'll probably be double the amount that you do generally if you're not really thinking or attaching so much of importance in making a mistake. So, let me talk about a few examples of how certain decisions changed my life, which I'm sure every one of you will relate to it. And we can go from there. So, one of the major decisions that I've taken, and in those times it was really hard for me to do it, was immediately after finishing my engineering in Pilani, I wanted to set up a company. And company at that time was a big notion. It's like anybody who's doing business is not doing the right thing to do if you did engineering. That was the way people looked at it. In a way, I think they still look at it like that now. But at that time, I had to speak to a few people to convince them that, okay, listen, I'm not going to get a job. I want to do this. I'm 18, or I think I was 19 when I first informed people in the house that I'm going to do something which is not going to be working in a 9 to 5 place. It's not Infosys, it's not TCS, or it's not any company. It's got nothing to do with the company. It's just I wanted to experience having and running a business. And at that time, I had an idea. I had no idea how to execute it. But at that time, I had to convince my parents that I'm going to take this decision. So, because you're still at home, you're dependent, you're waiting for their approval in a way, which I was, but I wouldn't feel bad if I don't get the approval. There's a big difference between always waiting for approval and being okay with not getting an approval. I learned it very, very early on that I'll ask, but if I'm not getting what I wanted, I'll anyways do it. So, this was a decision, it was a tough decision, but I went ahead with it. It gave me a lot of experience. On the job, you get to learn a lot of things a lot faster than anybody who was 20 or 21 would experience. And I'm thankful I did it. I made at least a minimum of 100 mistakes, which I was very, very happy doing, because when I set up Fitbee, I definitely did not do those 100 mistakes, but I did some new 100 mistakes. So that's one thing. So at that point, I knew that I was not physically or mentally harming my parents. They were not dependent on me making money. They had enough to take care of themselves and me also. So that's exactly what I told them. So give me 1 or 2 years, because I know that I don't have to provide for you, thankfully, thank God. So I can experiment and I can do what I decided on doing. So they were not happy with it, but I went ahead. That example, let me now actually have a continuation of Fitbee, the story of Fitbee, which I love talking. I can talk about this like n number of times and feel so happy about it. So when I started Fitbee, or even thought of doing something that is Fitbee for women and kids, let's start a studio, all of these things, I took the decisions like this because I didn't have to go tell anybody. my husband, who's the trainer, he was ready. He was like the happiest person when we decided let's do something in fitness. And when I said kids, he jumped up and down and he was super thrilled about it. And we were in our early 30s, we were 31, 32. We were super excited about the decision. And the good part is, when we took this decision, it was much easier for us because people stopped asking us questions because I've already done it before. And they sort of have the idea of, okay, if she's doing it, she's anyways going to figure things out. And they had the confidence because I stood my ground in my early 20s. They are 100% sure I will stand my ground and stand the earth like in the 30s, right? So it depends on, once you start taking ownership, subtly your parents and the family around you will start believing in you the way you want them to see. They'll start seeing you the way you want them to see when you start seeing yourself like that in the first place. So keep your insecurities little aside. Even if you don't feel like it, even if it's hard, just go ahead and do it. And then you will start feeling good. You will start feeling you've done the right decision. Sometimes you don't feel that, but still you will still feel that, okay, that's good. You will always, there will be a validation coming at you. I'm not a person who thinks a lot or analyzes a lot. I do it and then learn. But the one thing that I overanalyzed, and I'm glad I did it, maybe this is literally the exceptional circumstance, was when I was trying to find a partner. Because I've made enough mistakes by then. I've had decent clarity about what I should not choose. I knew more of that than exactly what to choose. But thankfully, I had my sister and my brother-in-law who came back from US and showed me equal partnership. I'm eternally grateful that they came back to India and they decided to stay in my parents' house where I was also there. And it was easy for me. And for the first time, I've seen an equal partnership, a man and a woman being friends. And then they got married. They deal with everything like how siblings deal with it. Like if you fight, then you are fine. If you are watching a movie together, you're sharing and analyzing how the director had to do it. These are things that we do as friends or we do it as siblings. But I've never seen a partnership that goes like that for years and years. It's getting stronger. So also one important thing is that is the first man that I met who did not have ego, who did not want to prove that he was from the greater race or he belonged to a he was a man and I have to make these decisions, you can't do it, I have to do whatever it is that you see in movies. That didn't happen. So it was very easy for me to think that, okay, this is what I need to look out for. But when I was looking, I couldn't find anybody. So I thought that he was one of a kind. In fact, he'll tell you this if you go and ask him, that I used to go and ask him, are you like a one piece? Aren't people like you? Don't they exist? These were the questions that I had. And this was when I was thinking, because this is a partnership that I would prefer having only once. I don't want to have to go through choosing the wrong partner again. And it's when your families are involved. For me, it was a big decision. So that is one place when I went too deep into what I was as a person, what I needed. And I've realized that people have, or somehow mutual respect has taken a back seat. I'm talking about 15 years back. So that's how it was. Like mutual respect fades away in relationships. That should never fade away. And when somebody is trying to show authority, just because of a movie or it's because of what they saw or what they knew, it doesn't mean that that's how it's supposed to be. So it was a long wait for me, and I'm one of the lucky ones that my dream came true. And I worked towards it. It's not a dream that I've just fluked or it was by luck. I mentioned these things. And it's good that, I met the right person in the right time. And I also saw that those were the important things for him as well. It was important to have mutual respect. It was important for me, for both of us, that our families were friends as well. So I have a good reason why I took so much time and why it was important for me to overanalyze and wait for this particular decision is because I knew that if I did it fast and if I owned it up, even if I owned it up, even if I made the wrong decision immediately, I own it up. But still, I knew that decision will 100% hurt mentally my family and myself. It will definitely hurt them. I didn't want them to be upset about something that I did with such a major life decision. So that is one of the reasons it was important to me to wait to understand myself and also understand somebody who I'm potentially bringing in for 30, 40 years of my life or maybe longer. Considering I do so much of fitness, I'm expected to live at least 90 years, like healthily. So, all those 90 years, I want that man to be with me. So, those are important to decide what is going to even see. You're making this decision for the next 30, 40 years. So, and that 30, 40 years, your parents are with you. So, this decision goes hand in hand with their mental health and physical health, was my thinking. And that is why I took a lot of time and decided on that. I hope you liked the first episode. I love doing it. Comment below if you like it, and also if you want me to speak about something in specific, that will really help me. And I think I thoroughly enjoy when it comes from you guys, and rather than me giving all of it from this side.